almost heading there. But we just have to talk to her before she goes there, so she gives us exactly the insight of what happened yesterday, because she was there. She's actually even a former student. Is she part of the people that protested?
Interesting.
Is she a survivor of police brutality the time that they were protesting then, So she will share her experience and just give us more insight of what today looks like with regards to that story. So let's just take a breather as we bring her on set.
University of Zambia students took to the streets Tuesday morning to express their displeasure over various issues pertaining at the institution. They have highlighted the go-slow by the lecturers, which has resulted in them not learning despite the examination scheduled to begin on Monday, 15th November 2021. The students add that the lecture theatres and library have been locked up, meaning they have nowhere to study from. They are also protesting against the scheduled maintenance by the power utility company ZESCO, scheduled for 12th to 14th November 2021 in some parts of Lusaka, saying it will further inconvenience their studies.
The second thing is that all lecture theatres from the School of Education and other schools have been closed. Why? Because the lecturers are on go-slow. They are protesting because of non-payment of salaries and their gratuities. So all we are appealing to is that the government should come on board, pay our lecturers so that learning can proceed as it is supposed to be.
Yesterday we saw a memo circulating on social media that actually there will be power cuts in certain places within Lusaka, and Unza is one of those places, and there will be this power cut from Friday up to Sunday. Now, imagine that on Monday we are starting exams. Where are we going to study from? And the other issue that you need to know is that the Unza hostels, all the Unza hostels have many issues. We have poor sanitation. So imagine if there will be no water. Where are the students going to wash their clothes from? Where are they students going to get to fetch water from? So these are some of the issues as to why we are protesting as of today.
We want each and every student to have a fair trial to the examinations, not because of money, but because of other issues. Let them write the exams if at all they're willing and they've studied for it. We also have issues where they're locking the library and they haven't paid lecturers on time. We want our lecturers to be paid on time and the exam to be flexible. We want to pass and not be labeled for failure.
However, Area Member of Parliament Mr. Mike Mposha has reassured the students, saying he will engage the Ministry of Education. Minister of Education Mr. Douglas Yakalima is away in France on ministerial duty.
I will convey the message to the Minister of Education and also the Minister of Energy, because the issues that have been brought out depending, blackouts, because how will the students study if they are going to be in the blackout? So I want to discuss this with the Minister of Education, Energy, but also the Minister of Education. I'm hoping that if both of them are around, we should be able to convene a meeting with the union this evening and try to see how we can iron out these issues. But obviously, we want the situation to return to normal so that the students can go back to their studies and possibly sit for their exams. We don't want the exams to be disturbed.
The aggrieved Unza students also took the opportunity to show the Area Member of Parliament, who is also Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, the deplorable state of sanitation at the institution as the place is filled with sewer spillages. He has since promised to ensure that sanitation is restored at the institution. While the students have agreed that taking to the streets is not the best alternative, they allege that university management does not address them when they seek audience and have since demanded for their removal. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Wow, interesting. One thing that came out for me, what I love Bustele, I even missed college times. I know we didn't have such, but when they were bringing in the minister, Mike Mposha, who is Munali Member of Parliament, he was there as an MP, not as a minister, because he wasn't acting as education minister. You are aware that the minister responsible for education is out of the country. So there's an acting minister who was not available yesterday. But him being an area member of parliament, he just went there to try and calm the situation. When they were coming with him, I was in the car, and then they were saying, Ati I was like, oh wow. So they managed to get the attention of the member of parliament to come and address them, at least to come and calm them. Now, Zipporah, you covered the story. Obviously, you made sure that you get the whole information. You matched with them for quite a long distance. What was your experience with that?
Okay, so basically the students were trying to go to State House. They were trying to go and see the president, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, but they were actually blocked by police, who said they should go back to the university and they will be addressed from there. And they were told that government will engage the UNZASU, the students' union, to actually have a meeting with them and discuss the way forward. And they actually condemned the habit of students taking to the streets. So basically the students are saying since Monday this week, they have not been learning. Lecturers are demanding payment. They're on go-slow. And yet next week, Monday, 15th November 2021, they're going to start examinations. So they're saying, how are we going to write examinations? Due to lecturers not lecturing, they have locked up the library. They have locked up lecture theaters. You can't study from the lecture theaters. You can't study from the library. So that was their concern. They're saying they cannot start examinations without studying. So they're saying they're not ready. They want lecturers to resume teaching, and they want the library and lecture theaters to be opened. Another thing they raised concern about was the expected maintenance by the power utility company ZESCO, scheduled from 12th to 14th November 2021, and it will affect Charleston, and that's Charleston, Kalingalinga, and some other parts. And they're saying Unza, yes, so they're saying Unza is part of that place with scheduled maintenance. So they're concerned about how they're going to study if there's going to be a blackout. So those were the main concerns.
I heard one of the students saying they should extend the exams period, at least not this Monday, but then the other week or the other month, so that it will give them ample time to just go through their books and to study. But then today, I'm well aware that the acting minister of education is having a meeting with UNZA management, of which you are expected to go there and bring us the story. What is the way forward? You've been a student, let me just take you back. You've been a student at UNZA. You've seen this protest carry on almost every year. You know, we see these problems. We see these issues that were raised, like poor sanitation. What is the lasting solution? Are the cries being heard? Are these protests even necessary? Because we see them protest almost every year, but the problems keep on being the same every year. The complaints are the same every year.
Okay, from my experience as a former student, management usually does not address the students, not until they take to the streets. So the demands of the students are to be addressed before they can even take to the streets. So if management just comes up with a proper communication channel to address them, then I think there would be no need for them to take to the streets. So they're saying the Vice Chancellor, Mr. Luke Mumba, is not giving audience to the students and they're demanding his removal. But I think the best way forward is to just come up with a proper communication channel so that no one is left in the dark concerning what is pertaining at the institution.
Patrick.
Yeah, and I see that the issue of UNZA is an annual issue, like it's a recurring issue. But again, yesterday we also saw the aspect of sanitation coming into the picture. But did they had to wait for this time to even inform the general public about the challenges they face at the institution about sanitation? Was it? Don't you think the students need to be a little bit proactive, considering that they understand their rights very well and they understand what they need?
Or maybe to put it simply, did you try to explore or maybe ask the students who are protesting if they've explored other avenues of communication? I know you've mentioned, say the Vice Chancellor doesn't give them orders, but then there are other channels as well before they reach the Vice Chancellor. Have they tried to exhaust those channels before marching to State House? I know the President has said, this is your house, but it's not a playhouse, it's State House, you know? Yeah.
Okay, so I think the students mainly depend on the union talking to them. So I think the way forward now is for the union maybe to come up with regular meetings with management, and not once in a while when a problem arises. I think UNZA management and the student union should have regular meetings. Then the union can communicate with the students. And on the issue of sanitation, I think the overall problem is that UNZA is overpopulated. The dormitories, the hostels are limited. Because I remember squatting was prohibited, but if you go in the hostels, you find that maybe a room meant for 2 people has got 4 or 8 people in it, 4 on each side. 4 on this side, 4 on this side. It's actually demarcated by a locker in the middle. 4 on this side, 4 on that side. So the issue of sanitation is actually due to overpopulation. So maybe the way forward is to build more hostels and to actually maybe conduct regular inspections to ensure that no one is actually squatting.
And when are we expecting that story, Zipporah, on the hostel? Because we've seen the construction of hostels, which was also stored.
Yes, definitely. And that is not the first hostel which has stored. There's another hostel near VET. That project has been ongoing since 2007. It began, but up to now it is abandoned. So I think we'll follow up on such matters to ensure that sanity is restored at the highest learning institution in the country.
Let's wait in the issue of security. I keep going back to you being a student there because you're speaking from experience. The protests have been a yearly thing, but then we've seen tear gassing, we've seen other students losing their lives, we've seen others injuring themselves. What's your description of yesterday's protest in relation to other protests that have happened before and the conduct of the police?
I think yesterday the police acted professionally. I think they're living up to the president's call for professionalism to be restored into the police service. So previously, in comparison to other previous protests, I think the police would have been tear gassing the students, whipping them and harassing them in all sorts of manners. But I think yesterday the police acted professionally. And I think now the students should not take advantage of this. I think the students should be disciplined and come up with proper mechanisms to air their grievances.
Well, another interesting thing that happened actually during the protest is that, you know, I always advise people to say, remember to use social media wisely. Whatever you post on social media may be used against you in future. So one other interesting aspect was that you see, why UNZA has also been having challenges, partly is that the UNZA sometimes there's that aspect of politicization, where political parties would also form branches at the institution. So you'd find other students going for the ruling party, others for the opposition, and some youths are used in the to cause confusion, so to say, at the institution, like to create sometimes a perception that the government is not doing fine, to bring about tension. And you see, one interesting thing that happened there, Zipporah, you witnessed as well, where the person addressing these students, they were calling him special counsel. Special counsel, and special counsel has also been finding himself with pictures with some political people who are like some politicians who were in government before. So you see the wrong signals that it sends. He may have the genuine and good intentions of all to represent his colleagues, but to find that because of his past affiliation, people may easily implicate him to say it's being used to champion a certain agenda, sometimes which may not be a true perception. But these are things that we need to be careful of, especially as young people when we're getting involved in such activities, because people are always observing, people are always watching. People always dig. So they will dig on you, and now you end up wondering, say, oh, so someone was keeping a record of this. Exactly. And you get a sense. So sometimes for you to present a certain position, you also need some certain attributes or elements to say this person is neutral, or this person is speaking their mind. They are not speaking out of influence, and that's something that we need to work on, especially at our higher learning institution. I know there's an aspect of academic freedoms. Students are empowered to talk for themselves, to represent themselves, but that does not mean their political parties or politicians should take advantage of their influence, because we understand that students have a huge influence in as far as society is concerned, because they play a major role, and they are future leaders, and they stand to represent the country in various aspects of various sectors of the economy. So it is a huge reservoir of knowledge, and that can be utilized in the governance of the nation. But if it is utilized in a certain way, sometimes that brings about conflict. So my advice is that going forward, it is important that students represent their interests beyond political lines, because that's the only way they'll uphold their dignity as well as in terms of being taken seriously, especially when they go on the negotiating table. But we are happy that at least they are receiving the audience there which they requested for, and we'll give our viewers, especially in our 1930 main news, some of the highlights that will be coming out, especially in terms of addressing those issues. We'll see if those demands will be met, because we are seeing demands of sanitation, demand of changes at management level, the issue of paying the lecturers to avoid these go-slows. So these are demands that are actually, for me, genuine, because they have always been genuine. But in the past, we have also seen that union leaders were actually arrested for making genuine demands, and those are things that I think we need to do away with as a country. And as we revise our pension structure as announced in the 2022 national budget, I'm just anticipating that it will play a critical role in bringing sanity, especially as far as addressing workers' needs is concerned, especially at these higher learning institutions.
Okay, so while you are at it, before we let Zipporah go, students have the right to belong to respective political parties, but then we have to be careful, like you have mentioned.
Yes.
However, Zipporah, what are we expecting in the meeting that is being held just now, which you're rushing to?
Okay, so basically, I think they just want to put up basically management is concerned about the perennial student trials that go on, so that we engage UNZASU management basically on what can be done to avoid such instances going forward, because you see that student trials have got many negative impacts. For example, when students take to the streets, they often burn tires, they destroy people's vehicles, they also destroy hostels, they set things on fire, so that is destructive and causing a regression. Okay. Yes, that costs the country a lot of money repairing public universities like the University of Zambia, which get broken. And so basically we expect management and UNZASU are going to discuss the way forward of how to prevent riots and maybe put up proper communication channels. And the acting Minister of Education probably is going to also discuss maybe with UNZASU management the issue concerning the payment of lecturers, because this too has been a perennial problem.
Okay. Great things. We will be having